Hey guys, little bit of a different video for you here. I had planned to do a review on this tablet. As you can see on the back, there's no writing on this except for the connectors and what have you. But anyway, I ordered this off of one of the usual suspects, straight out of China. This is part of a new series, Slow Boat from China, that we're doing, mostly because it took almost 3 months for it to show up on a slow boat from China, and damn thing don't chooch. Okay, so that's fine. I've actually already pulled this apart once, but just kind of wanted to show you guys this. What they had claimed is that it was a quad-core, cheap little tablet, internal storage, great for YouTube and apps, yada yada yada. I bought it with the plans to go ahead and show you guys cheap tablet straight from China. I'll go ahead and start pulling this apart. And damn thing wouldn't turn on when I got it, so ended up getting a refund. They refunded it 100%, which was nice. But yeah, this thing's hiding a dirty little secret inside, or at least mine was. And this right here, this is just proof of what our consumer culture has become. This thing was $31 delivered to my door. Alright, so anyone out there tell me what's missing here? No, well, that's just that's a volume switch right there. But yeah, there's no battery, no go. So I hooked it up using a USB cable, and damn thing still won't chooch. Turns on, powers on just like it should, boots. Touchscreen doesn't work. So yeah, this is what $30 gets you from China. Oh yeah, and the speaker held on everything's held on by masking tape in this thing. It's actually pretty hilarious. Yeah, I have had this sitting on my shelf for literally months now, just waiting for a review, because I had ordered it to start the series. Yeah, that's going to be your Wi-Fi antenna right there. They forgot to take all the backing off of this 3M tape that they use. We're just going to go ahead and tear this guy all the way apart, see the quality of construction and what have you. They really like this masking tape for some reason in China. Now we do have I have more things coming for this series, just because yeah, I know I like watching this kind of cheap crap getting torn apart and torn down. Let me set that aside for right now. Oh yeah, if you ever order an iPhone screen, they come with all these amazing little tools for taking stuff apart. Same thing. It's that China syndrome. It's just absolute shit. That right there was from prying apart a monitor bezel. Plastic. They just chewed it right up. This one right here has got all stress cracked and it's all chewed up. This one's got all stress cracked and it's all chewed up. Worthless. But you know what? I guess it did the job it was intended to. Yeah, we're just gonna go ahead and get all these cables off and what have you. See if there's anything salvageable out of here. Maybe. I've actually talked to a couple of people that have ordered these. Some people have ordered them and they show up. They show up straight up with the battery swollen right to hell, ready to explode. Mine showed up with no damn battery in it. You know, a little word of advice for you guys: if you're going to make a video, get your tools ready before you make the video. That way you're not doing the idiot crap like me and digging through drawers looking for a screwdriver that you had earlier today. Just get your tools ready ahead of time. Don't be an idiot. Learn from my mistakes. Figure out what you're going to need and get it out beforehand. Hope the lighting's okay on this. I know I'm making massive shadows and what have you. I do apologize for that. And you know what? I ordered this tablet mainly so I could, do a teardown on it kind of thing. And I didn't have high expectations for it. I figured it'd be okay, browsing the internet and what have you. Obviously, it's not gonna support like Netflix or anything like that. Not at this price point. But yeah. All right. So I don't know if you guys are gonna be able to see this. What's actually on here? I'm gonna try to peel off this QC sticker see if we can't take a look at what it is. It's obviously, I mean, these cheap tablets from China. They're all just SoCs. For those who don't know, it's system on a chip. Because I know I don't do like a tech channel, so I don't know. Maybe some of my audience isn't super savvy on like the abbreviations for this kind of stuff. And yeah, I know this isn't the right way to do this, but this is cheap tablet from China. I don't think this thing's going back together, to be honest, when I'm done. Yeah, so right here we have the Allwinner Tech A13. I'll take some close-ups of these two, and then right here we have our two RAM chips. RAM. No, flash memory. No, flash memory is over here. So yeah, these are going to be your two RAM chips, which this thing claims to have 512 megs of RAM, which, yeah, it's, well, according to the chip, it's marked 256 DDR3. I highly doubt that's DDR3, not at this price point, but yeah, there's two of those 256 meg ones, so it gives you 512 megs of RAM. Respectable for a cheap tablet like this. Right over here we have our 4GB flash memory. As you can see, the board does have the spot for the other 4 gig chip. So I'm guessing they probably sell these in an 8 gig configuration as well. We got our SD card slot up here. This right here is very obviously a headphone jack connector that's not populated. I don't know why they wouldn't populate it. What's a headphone jack connector? I mean, me and you, we could go out and buy one of those for, what, $1 at Radio Shack? Come on, throw it on there. Right over here we have our Wi-Fi card, and I don't know if you can tell in the video, but looking at it, you can see it's. Oh, let me get a pointing tool. It's its own standalone board, and then it just solders in with these 6 points. So just taking a wild shot in the dark here. That's probably going to be power ground, clock, latch. Power ground, clock, latch, and then your antenna wires. So it's probably going to be just a serial Wi-Fi chip that communicates with the actual brains of the operation over here, the system on a chip. They're a cheap part right off the shelf. I mean, why figure your own stuff out when you can get a chip that'll communicate with serial to a standalone Wi-Fi module and then just add in a cheapest piss antenna? I mean, this is what, I don't know, finger length of coax going into a really cheap antenna array here, which it's, yeah, just 3M taped, and it's just copper clad with the actual antenna built into it. And the funny thing is the copper cladding is actually exposed on the back, and that was mounted right here on this on the metal back of the screen. So I'm guessing they're hoping that's going to help Wi-Fi reception or something. I don't know. Maybe it's just a coincidence. They do everything here as cheap as possible. Right here we have our power going down to the backlight for the LCD. Cheap as piss speaker. I mean, come on. You can put a better speaker in there for that. I mean, this, I know $33 shipped to the door. Right here, it looks like it's going to be a touchscreen driver right there. Obviously, our actual display controller is going to be built into this chip. That's why they use these chips. On the backside, I mean, backside's completely empty, minus a incredibly terrible microphone here. Very, very crusty parts. I mean, look at this. That's just covered in corrosion, all of this. And what you got there is you got your USB in, 5 volts in, power switch right here. And then volume up, volume down. And this does have a headphone jack on it. That's interesting. Let me see here. Okay, so that's our headphone jack right there. So this board's in here like this. Like this. So I'm guessing that might be for a different different tablet case. Because like I said, these boards, the companies, okay, this is getting a little bit of how these companies function now, which, if you're not interested in it, go ahead and stop watching the video, thumbs down it. The way these companies work is they hire a company to spin these boards off for them. And these boards, I mean, they're getting them for pennies. And this is the reason they're able to do it. System on a chip. And what this is, this incorporates your video drive or your video processor, your main processor, and pretty much all of your input and output controllers all into one chip. And that's become incredibly cheap to get. I mean, I've seen chip, maybe not this exact chip, but I've seen chips the same as this. If you're buying quantities of 1,000, going for under $1 a piece. So when you're talking about this board, I mean, you've got 512 megs of RAM on here and a 4 gig eMMC flash memory with the rest of the passives and your connectors. And as you can see, I'm going to try to get a close-up of these connectors for you. I don't know if you're going to be able to see this, but these things are just incredibly crusty and corroded. A lot of times where the place where like these connectors and stuff come from, they're salvaged out of other electronics. And that's just how it is over there. I mean, that's the name of the game is money. You got to build it as cheap as possible, because I mean, a tablet like this, you're not expecting it to last very long at all. So, I mean, they spin these things out for next to nothing, and you buy it and you're happy that it works for a day or two, and not a big deal. But yeah, so board manufacturers spin off these boards, and I'm actually surprised that there's not more unpopulated sockets on here, because a lot of times you'll see two different headers. Yeah, I only see the one. This looks almost like it's specific for this, but you'll usually see the display headers and the touchscreen headers. There will be two actual sets of pads on the board for depending on which LCDs and touchscreens are going to run, because they go with whatever they can get cheapest at the market that day. All right, so we're going to go ahead and keep tearing this thing apart. But yeah, so they spin these boards off. Company buys them and slaps them together. Cheapest camera in the world. Cheap. Let me see here. Oh yeah, I can't even pull the tape off of it. The tape is actually this ribbon cable isn't actually soldered or anything into the back of this camera. Looking at it back here, it looks like the sensor for the actual camera is actually right on the ribbon cable itself, and that's why they have this big old gunk of tape on there just to hold it all together. I'm not gonna pull that apart. I don't feel like digging with that more than I need to. But yeah, so the people that are actually making and selling the tablets, they buy these generic boards and they stuff them into whatever case they have that day at the market, and with whatever screens they have and what have you. And well, we here in the West get to enjoy a very cheap tablet. And well, I learned a long time ago, you get what you pay for with this stuff. Like I said, I wasn't expecting to get an iPad or something for $30 shipped. But I mean, come on, you forget the battery. All right, so there's our actual touchscreen. See a model number on here. I'll go ahead and I'll put up the data sheet for all these, and I'll be back in just a second. Alright, so yeah, I went ahead and pulled the data sheets on all of these things on here, and yeah, like I suspected, this right here, this is just a off-the-shelf display unit. Nothing special about it at all. I mean, they sell them all over, the usual suspects: eBay, Alibaba, AliExpress. Yeah, AliExpress, I think is the website. I'm sorry, I'm not good with names and stuff. But apparently it's made by a company called Pantala. Pantala, I don't know. And yeah, what it is just a 7-inch LCD monitor. Nothing special about it at all. It's and you can see here this bezel. If you look right here, I don't know if you can see that or not, but you can actually see the Sharpie line where they marked it off to actually cut the opening in this cheap galvanized metal to build the enclosure for it. I kind of want to pop this open, but that might prove to be a fruitless task. Good thing is, these things, stuff like this is very hackable because it's, yeah, I mean, they're very generic. These are typically just a serial connection. As you can see on here, this might actually be parallel. I see 1, 2, 3, 7, 10 pins actually going to this display. So yeah, this interfaces with a Raspberry Pi or something. You could probably get it done real easy. So yeah, there's that. Now this guy, I went ahead and pulled his data sheet up. He's kind of a interesting fellow. The A13 chip. So what that is, it's actually an ARM Cortex A8, which is a cheap SoC. It's using Neon apparently for video, audio, and graphic workloads, which I'm guessing is their own proprietary API. It's also it supports OpenGL, surprisingly, version 1.1, but it does full HD video decoding in several formats at 1080-30. But yeah, it does AVS, H.264, 263, MPEG 1, 2, and 4, all that fun stuff. It also does video encoding at 1080p 30 frames a second. Surprisingly, obviously, this little shit camera is not going to take advantage of that. It's probably what is it, 680 by 480 or 800 by 600 resolution. Very, very poor quality. But this chip actually isn't bad, because it'll actually do the encoding in H.264, which is kind of a heavier workload compared to some other codecs that it could actually encode in. Yeah, it supports. Here's where things get a little funny. It supports DDR2 and DDR3 at 533 megahertz, so these may actually be DDR3. I looked up the numbers on them and I couldn't find anything, not a data sheet, so I'm thinking they're kind of a generic numbered counterfeit or something like that. But this chip only supports 512 megabytes of system memory, so it's very purpose-built to be for cheap tablets, because obviously you're never going to see a high-end tablet that's running, less than a gig of system memory. Never. Not this day and age anymore. But, yeah, it's got an 8-bit NAND flash controller with dual channel for this fellow. So, this chip could actually probably, if the board's designed right, access these, the actual onboard storage fairly quick. It supports USB on the go. It actually supports the SD version 3.0 for high speed, high capacity SD cards, which is kind of shocking in something of this, on this kind of level. But it is what it is. I mean, it's even got 3 SPI controllers and 3 2-wire interfaces, IR controllers. This has. It doesn't look like they're taking advantage of it just because of some of the other chips I see on the board. But this actually has a built-in 4-wire touch panel controller, which, if we look at our touch panel over here, it's using a different setup. It's not using the 4-wire touch setup. This is surprisingly not. It's capacitive. It's not. What's the other one? I always forget the name of it. I'm sure I'll look it up and annotate it. But yeah, this supports the other one, but this chip down here, as I thought, I looked up the numbers on this chip, and this is actually a generic touch screen controller chip. Is all I could find off of it. No real data sheet on it. This A13, back to him, just because I am very, very impressed with it for what it is. I mean, it supports 8-channel audio with DTS decoding. According to the data sheet that I found, it supports DTS decoding. That I doubt. That might just be blowing smoke up our asses, but who's actually gonna... With this, you're never gonna touch that kind of stuff. But yeah, it supports AES encryption and all that fun stuff. Yeah, it also does obviously audio encoding, and then the audio decoding. It's all on that one chip. Now this guy right here, I looked him up. This separate board, and just what I thought. It is our wireless chip, and what it is, it's a Realtek RTL 8188 EUS. If you want to look it up, you know, for the home gamers that actually want to look it up, it supports 802.11n single band at 2.4 gigahertz, but it supports 150 megabit per second transfer speeds, which kind of shocking. Everything you'd expect from a Wi-Fi chip, but the big thing that surprised me off of it is it looks like when Realtek sells these, they don't actually even make the board. Realtek just makes that chip there. They don't make this whole drop-in board. This board, I couldn't actually find a manufacturer for it, but what I did do is I did a Google search of, you know, cheap tablets and stuff like this, like, you know, shit China tablets. That board shows up in almost every single one of them. So this is just speculation, but I think there's probably a company in China that's making their milk money spinning these boards off using these Realtek chips, specifically for these manufacturers of the tablets, because it's a lot cheaper to build this tablet if you can buy a drop-in chip, and building these chips doesn't cost nothing, just labor. Now, what does look kind of interesting here is this. Unlike I thought it was a serial connection, but it's not. This is USB 2.0. You actually have your 5-volt and ground lines here, and then you actually have your 2 data lines for the USB. These 2 up here, those I traced them out. Those actually go to this antenna through a couple of passives. But yeah, that's straight up USB. And I looked. There's USB drivers for this chip, because I guess a lot of manufacturers use this for USB wireless dongles. I might make another video desoldering this board off of this main tablet board, throwing a USB cable on there, and seeing if we can't get it going as a USB, you know, little dongle. And yeah, this chip, according to the, you know, schematic, it has everything inside of it that you need to actually run Wi-Fi over USB. It actually even has the USB controller and everything built into it. Like, this natively supports USB. All of this stuff right here you've got your 40 megahertz crystal that provides the oscillation signal for this chip. You have the control stuff for that, and then you actually have your filter circuitry for the RF, because, well, RF, you have to filter everything out in RF, especially when you're doing high-speed data like that. But yeah, that little package right there has everything in it, all wrapped up into there. It even has the amplifiers and everything for the antenna, all built into that one little chip. So if you are manufacturing stuff like this, I mean, you buy that chip, all you need is your filter circuitry, your oscillation crystal, and you have a USB USB Wi-Fi solution for your for your product. And I mean, think about it. Android, ever since, okay, so again, speculation, but this ships with ice cream sandwich on it. Android was at 4.0, which supports USB 2.0 on the go. So I'm guessing that's why they went with this chip, because this chip supports USB on the go 2.0. And I'm betting they went with that chip, Android 4.0, because that's probably the cheapest and easiest to design software to be able to run a USB Wi-Fi solution on here. That's all I can think. And if you look at the pinout for this chip, I mean, this chip it has all the connections you need on it. All you need is passives and an oscillator, and that blows my mind that we've gotten to this point. I remember buying Wi-Fi cards size of video cards 10, 15 years ago. Now they got it all packed into that one little tiny chip there. Just boggles the mind. Anyway, I know I've rambled on a little bit here, but yeah, so long story short, cheap Chinese tablet. What you get is what you pay for. And I did these, I think one of them already fell off, but yeah, the 2 wires for the battery that were on here, yeah. Oh yeah, you like the solder job they do here? The screen actually broke free from the main board while we were talking here. Yeah, I actually soldered a lithium-ion battery into this, and for the life of me, well, it booted up, and I'll show you it boot, but I actually attached a little cell phone battery I had laying around, got it to boot. They forgot the drivers for this. They forgot the damn drivers for the touchscreen when they built this thing. I actually tore apart the ROM. There's no touchscreen drivers installed on the ROM that shipped with this. I don't know if that's a single case or if that's something that's, repeating, but yeah. Anyway, until next time, you guys, thanks for coming in here, and let me know if you like this kind of video, because I do have more cheap shit from China coming in, and if you like this, I'll continue to do the Slow Boat from China series. If not, let me know. I'll kill it now, and I'll go back to doing what I do. Alright, you guys take it easy.